Student loans are evil and they ruined my life. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too dramatic, but we cannot deny the fact that student loans can be extremely dangerous for somebody that is going through college and you're thinking, okay, I need financial assistance, which, let's be honest, I was there. My wife was there. We found ourselves in over $150,000 worth of total student loans at the end of the day. So when we saw that amount, we were really scared. We had a lot of fear, because all of the life plans that we had when it comes to getting ourselves a new house, we also wanted to start a family a little sooner. All of that had to get delayed because of these student loans. After a lot of focus and determination and discipline, we were able to overcome all that and more. But here in this video, I want to share with you what they don't teach you about the student loans, and based on our experience, what you need to know. If you don't know anything about me, by the way, my name is Alex Isidro. I'm a mechanical engineer, and here on the channel, I share engineering career advice, life lessons, personal development. So if you enjoy these types of videos, please make sure that you crush the like button and consider subscribing. Now, when it comes to student loans, obviously I don't blame anybody here for getting them, although we know sometimes how dangerous they can be. There are times when we need them, and we all don't come from a rich background and wealthy parents, and so student loans are definitely an option, and I'm glad that they exist. But what I don't appreciate is how they don't prepare you and they don't teach you things before you acquire these student loans. Here in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things that we all are not taught when we are getting student loans. And the first one is to estimate how much you can actually afford. And this is extremely important because, let's be honest, not all college majors are made equal. Not all college degrees give you the same return. I was an engineering student. I'm a mechanical engineering graduate. Engineering doesn't pay the same as a degree in history. A law degree doesn't pay the same as a degree in engineering. One of the things that I wish I would have known is how to estimate how much money we'll actually be able to afford and what the limit should be for every person to have when they're getting a student loan. So I've actually found a tool that can give you a general estimate, and that I actually found to be very accurate. And that is the Student Loan Debt Smart. This is a calculator that gives you how much money you are going to be estimated to make once you graduate college. It also estimates the taxes that you'll be paying, your expenses, depending on the city where you'll be living. And it also gives you an estimate on how much money you will be required to make on student loan payments. Now, take this as a tool that you can use to estimate all these parameters. When I used it, it was actually pretty accurate. So I'm going to show you on the screen right now what this actually means, and basically ask you a couple of questions on your major of a study. Of course, for me, it was mechanical engineering, the college that you attended, which, believe it or not, it also has influence on how much money you will be making once you start your journey as a graduate. And also, of course, also the year when you are expected to graduate college, and the city where you're expected to live, which we all know. And if you don't know, then you should know that it definitely has an impact on how much money you'll be making, and also how much money you'll be paying on rent and all these expenses, locality pay. So if I just click the button right here, it gives you an estimate. Okay, the maximum amount of student loans that you should get when you are in college should be $35,000 a year. Imagine that personally, I've seen people with over $1 million worth of student loans.
So I had a question for you. I just recently graduated from residency to become an orthodontist, and I have student loans that total just over $1 million.
You're kidding me.
And no, sir.
What were you thinking?
Well, I wasn't thinking clearly.
I've heard stories from people with over $500,000, $600,000 of student loans, and how much different could their lives have been if they would have used, or at least gotten an estimate of how much money they would have been making, and also how much money they would have been able to afford when it comes to student loans. The other thing that we are not taught when we are getting a student loans is we're not required, and I think that everyone should be required to have a training. We should all be required to learn on how student loans are affecting our lives, not just in college, but also beyond. When you start borrowing all this money, when you are 18, 20 years old, you think, oh, I'll just pay it off later. I'll just pay it off later. I've been there. I did that multiple times. My wife has been there. She's done that multiple times. When we talk about this, reminisce and remember, you know, that was actually pretty dumb. A lot of the money that you borrow, you don't realize that you're borrowing from your future self. And as such, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, all of that actually leads you to delay your life plans and your financial plans. plans. So I believe we should all be required to take a preparation class. And as part of this preparation class, you should be required to learn about how student loans can affect your life beyond college, how it delays your business plans, financial plans, life plans when it comes to having a family or maybe buying a house. You should also be required to learn how you can estimate the amount of money that you'll be making upon graduation, and along with that, how much money you can afford when it comes to student loans. The other thing that I believe we should all be required to learn about is the interest rates, because if you really think about it, it's the interest rate that at the end of the day, as we'll touch on in a few seconds, really takes the most amount out of your pocket. The last thing that I believe as part of this preparation to take on student loans is how terrible private loans can be, and they should be your last resource. Having said all of this, the third thing that we are not taught when we are getting a student loans is the fact that we have the ability to shop around. Many times, maybe we are in desperation mode, maybe we are just looking for a place that's going to fund our education. We go to the local bank, and the private loans that are going to offer you there are going to kill your pocket. One of the things that you can do, be a little bit more proactive and thinking ahead. If you are going down this route, give yourself a little bit of time that you can shop around. Well, this website, Student Loan Hero, can help you see what options you have available. The fourth thing that we are not taught, that we should be taught when we are getting a student loans, is financial literacy. And along with this financial literacy course, I know that, hey, I was not taught this when I was growing up. Nowadays, we are making a change when it comes to high schools around many states in the country. Now we are starting to require financial literacy, financial education for young people. We got to learn about income, expenses, debt, interest rates. Again, it keeps popping up, right? Interest rates keep popping up because it's very important, guys. A couple of months ago, we realized with my wife that we paid off one student loan as fast as we could during this whole pandemic era, when the interest rates are frozen. The original principal for this student loan was $23,000. Guess what? When we got this statement, we realized that how we made payments until 2050, minimum payments, we would have ended up paying about $140,000. So we ended up saving ourselves about $120,000 in interest rates that we would have had to pay how we kept making all the minimum payments until forever. That just gives you a perspective of how important interest rate is, and how important, most of all, is that you crush those payments once you are able to crush them as soon as possible. The last thing that I want to share here with you that we are not taught and that we should be taught is how we need to be put in perspective when it comes to money and the money that we borrow when we are young. Imagine a well. The well gets deeper and deeper. That's the debt that you have. The more you put yourself in debt, the deeper the well gets, and the deeper you find yourself in a hole. And later on, your future self is going to have to come and it's going to have to throw a rope and pull you up really like, and it's just a very difficult process. And it takes a lot of focus and determination. And of course, if you don't have the ability or the strength or the money later on to actually be able to pull yourself out, then your life can be that much more difficult. There are plenty of people that retire, and they retire even with student loans, people that have been carrying a student loan since the 1980s, which is absolutely insane. But now with all these tips and all these insights that I just shared with you, you are going to be that much better off, and not just you, but now you're going to pass all this wisdom and information to the next generation, and little by little, one by one, we can all do our part to improve each other's lives. If you enjoyed this video and you find it useful, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. And if you want to know the story on how my wife and I actually got rid of over $200,000 worth of debt in total, go check out this video right here, and I'll see you on the other side.